Welcome back to another episode of the Black Cinema Experience
Podcast.
I'm your girl, JB,
And I'm Cameron.
and we're back with another episode, another fun, delightful, thrilling, bone-chilling,
Extraordinary.
yes, episode. This week, we have the pleasure of watching Cinnamon. Cinnamon came out on Tubi. Tubi is free. There are commercials, but I promise it's not that bad. They are really stepping up their platform.
Absolutely.
We are seeing high quality Black or people of color content,
Yeah.
but also just content in general. That's really good. They have great storylines. I mean, it's not just a whole bunch of random stuff like Amazon was for a really long time. It was a really great story. So this movie is called Cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
It stars Hailey Kilgore and what was his first name? David
Iacono.
Yeah.
It's Italian, I think.
He's a cute little thing. And it also has Jeremy Harris, which is really fine, and the legendary, extraordinary Pam Grier. So a little bit about this film. It looks like a story of two lovers that get into a bit of trouble, but end up happily together forever at the end. But actually getting into the nitty-gritty of the story, there are two lovers caught in a really fucked up robbery story where deadly robbery story. Wow, they did a good job in their synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fatal love story. There is death and murder and violence involved, so you know that there was a man behind the camera. But there is some singing and some beautiful moments of love captured in this film. So today we're going to talk about Cinnamon. Hopefully you guys check it out on Tubi. I know it's not the most common platform, but again, y'all, it's free. And this is a mostly Black story. And when I say mostly Black, I mean only the boyfriend really was like not Black. Everybody, he was Puerto Rican though, so some would someone argue that it was all Black. Mm-hmm. But overall, really great story. Cameron, why don't you tell us what you felt about the film?
Well, I really liked it. I will say it was directed by a man, Bryian Keith Montgomery Jr. So you're right about that with all the weapons and stuff. No, but I feel like it was filmed very, very well. I feel like it told a really good story. I feel like it flowed nicely. Mm-hmm. And it had a good ending.
A mostly good ending. So here's the warning in advance. There may be spoilers. So if you haven't seen Cinnamon yet, please go check out the film first, then come back here and let's discuss it together.
Absolutely.
Because I can't leave out the good, juicy juice.
Absolutely.
We
have to tell it.
So now that you've been warned, I'm assuming you've already seen it. You're absolutely correct. The love story on this film, it caught us off guard. Mm-hmm. So first, I want to talk about the jarring way that they started this movie. Mm-hmm. At least I thought it was jarring. It starts off with a girl at the gas station trying to close up before the end of her shift. She's terrified, and someone comes in to rob her. And in the midst of them robbing her,
they kill somebody.
How about that? Because I don't want to give too much. They kill somebody. And then the whole time in this movie, basically, she's trying to get away so she can go live her life as a singer somewhere in California. And they are on her tail. They know who she is, and they know who robbed them. But once they start putting all the pieces together, they find out that there's some deep ingrained family mess involved. And the story's not as clean cut, kill that guy and that girl as it seems. Mm-hmm. But to the outsider looking in, the quickest synopsis for me would be like a nice, cute version of Bonnie and Clyde. You know, they don't get away with so many crimes, but they definitely are from the same side of the tracks. And
they do their dirt.
And they're both okay with it. Yeah. Because she did seem okay with it all. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. Our main characters are, I feel like it's good to see regular people. Mm-hmm. But they're the regular people that kind of have like that little dark side to them, mm-hmm. like, who don't mind a little corruption going on in their lives.
They're the people that you see that always steal at Walmart.
Or, like always use those weird marks on their taxes to get a little bit of extra money. Like a little shady,
The ones that find a wallet in the parking lot and pick it up and they don't even look for the return to sender. They're just like, oh, today's my lucky day.
And they're like, I got a blessing, basically. Yeah, so I did like that they showcased that. So it kind of gave you like that realistic, like they're not perfect. It's not like this little perfect couple. Like they kind of have some dirt on them also. So what happens to them eventually is not it's necessarily it's kind of deserved, low key, high key. What happens to them later on in the movie, based on what, because they're not good people. Like I feel like there's no like good character in this story. Everybody's shady.
Yes. They were all a little shady. I mean, she was okay with her gas station getting robbed.
Yes.
For the benefit of her and her boyfriend, so they can run off to another state and start a new life.
But he was also robbing and conning the whole.
He was robbing and conning the whole time, and he knew that he wasn't nothing. But she was okay with him robbing her store and her helping in that, so her dreams could ultimately come true. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Everybody was a little bit corrupt. I think it was a really good story because it reflects real society, which is we are often very corrupt and very corruptible if it's to our benefit. So the hard hitters about this movie, a couple like things that I really, really liked is one, obviously how it kind of like reflected like reality, right? Like he was like liking her. She was a girl on the bus. She was like, "Don't talk to me. Leave me alone."
Very standoffish.
And he was like, "Girl, but I already know you. I already know you, girl." So it gave us a nice little meet cute for them. I do like how their love actually did feel a little organic and natural. I felt like they had a nice vibe. Movies sometimes lately I've been seeing them have a hard time creating chemistry. So what did you think about their chemistry?
I feel like they had really good chemistry, especially based on the way that they interacted with each other.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times you can see, I feel like you said, like you can kind of see some hesitation in actors too. Like when they're with people and you're like, they don't really love each other.
Yep.
And I felt like with them, it was like a real young love, especially like the scene where she starts singing and you can tell he was messing with her at first. He was like, sing it, because he hadn't really heard her sing. And then, so he starts singing, which is not good. And then she starts singing and like blows everything away. And he's like, mesmerized.
Right.
So it was really cute. It was like, oh, this is a good lovey moment.
As a singer myself, that would be a wonderful love story. No, I mean, it's so cute. It really is just like so sweet and innocent how it started. Like it really did give us a nice foundation for their relationship. Exactly. Even though, this must be said, the relationship was merely 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
It was, the movie started us off on the day of the robbery. And then it said 2 months earlier.
Yeah.
And it flashes forward to them meeting on the bus. So essentially, we're talking about 8 weeks of a deep connection with somebody.
Then I thought he said something like that they have, like he knew who she was because he knew her from elementary.
Yeah, they went to high school together. Yeah. He used to sell chili cheese fries, and she was the cute girl in his math class or whatever. So like, yeah. They knew each other then, but like obviously not that well. If at first glance she's telling him, "Don't talk to me." Yeah.
Well, he probably used to bully her or something. The backstory.
No. The backstory is that he used to have fries and she used to buy them sometimes. Nothing more, nothing less. So again, their relationship budded after 8 solid weeks. Just 8 weeks.
I mean, I feel like it's possible. Some people really believe in that. I'm a hopeless romantic, like that love at first sight thing. So I believe it.
My parents got married at 4 months. Get real.
True.
They met at a club.
And they're still together
Get
to this
real,
day.
okay?
To this day.
Come on.
But no, I feel like, but with the chemistry that they were showing us through the acting, I felt like it really was believable.
Yeah.
Like throughout the movie, you see him like showing how much he cared for her and her vice versa. It felt very genuine, and I did like a lot of the acting. Now, if we want to talk about acting too, Jeremy Harris' character, I feel like he was like the greatest actor overall. But
Big Daddy.
But between our two lovebirds, I felt like it was really really great chemistry. I feel like they had like a lot of really good shots with them together in the frame together, and like the way they looked at each other was really, really beautiful.
Yeah. But back to Jeremy. Since you went and brought him up, this man is so fine. But he's like fine in a way where it's like, oh, he's so manly. I might have to meet him because I felt up for the challenge.
He was one of the what was the name of the family? He was one of the crooks in the movie.
Yeah.
And so he played a really good job being a crook. Like it felt very believable. I was low-key scared, high-key, of the family.
He was such a good actor. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you about how good of an actor he is. While he was doing one of his lines, I was like, what year are we in? Because his southern accent, his mannerisms, his charm, it was so in the past. I mean, this could have been in the 1900s and he could have been a cowboy. I mean, and he did pull off the cowboy hat and the
Yeah.
cowboy boots. He was doing the cowboy thing for sure. But he really made it seem like, I mean, I was enchanted.
Yeah.
He's charming. He got one of those voices that just makes you feel all wrapped and warm and fuzzy. And
He commanded his scenes very well.
he
Like,
did.
I feel like when the camera was on him, you paid attention.
He was believable. And he didn't do anything like think about this. The first time that he comes to visit Marlon Wayans in the office, he says to him whatever he says, but the way that he's doing everything, I mean, he's smiling, he's talking, he seems like just a charismatic guy. But somehow he was still doing that and giving off, I will cut your throat. I don't know how they did that with him. I was charmed and scared. I was like, I would want to be held hostage by him for sure. But then he was like violent. I was like, oh no.
Scary.
It was good.
But some people like that vibe. They like the, scary,
Yeah.
seductive vibe.
Yeah.
And that's what he was given.
Very seductive. I'm your girl.
but just speaking about the whole family in general, they were, essentially running an illegal operation for certain materials. We won't say on camera. But
right.
But they're also, this is when they introduced the legendary Pam Grier as Mama, and she is like the leader of this little renegade gang, and she's ruthless. But I will say, when I first saw her name in the credits, I already knew it was going to go down. Like, that Pam wasn't going to be playing no games, and in this movie she was not playing.
I didn't think about that at all. I mean, Pam Grier, in my mind, is still Foxy.
That's why I knew that's for me, that I knew no games were played, because the way she played Foxy.
Yeah.
I just knew she was gonna take no.
She's a cold woman.
I feel like she's really nice in real life, but just her characters, woo.
She plays the part.
You don't want to mess with her in this movie. You really didn't want to mess with her.
But since you brought up her character, I do want to talk about how they had a moment where they showed us people with disabilities.
Yes.
Like, it's not often that you see a person in a film with a disability just as a character, just as part of the story. Or even like, she was in a way a main character.
Yeah.
You don't see that often. It's like they always try to find a way to squeeze somebody in, and they're always a sidebar character or whatever. But they never actually show people operating with a disability, or they rarely show people operating within the realm of a disability. So she didn't speak, but her son knew how to read her eyes.
Yeah.
And then her husband, and they sign language. So they communicated. So it was nice to see some people reflecting that. That way, in
an organic way.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, because a lot of times it can come off gimmicky, because we'll talk about how they had trans representation in the film, and I feel like a lot of times we kind of force it, and I feel like with anything in any movie, you shouldn't force anything.
Right.
Even if it's a love story, you shouldn't force love. It should always feel organic. Right. So the way they incorporated Mama, as and her being like, the monarch, the queen of her league. I thought that was really cool how, like, they really incorporated it, and it wasn't like awkward.
Yeah, they did a good job. Let me give them a compliment. They did a good job casting diverse representation. We had some white cops. We had our Spanish man. We had Black people. We had disabled people. We had we just had a lot of options. But yes, they did have a trans person in the film, and I don't have a problem with trans people. Okay, my question or concern is that for the first time that you see a Black woman on TV, like openly flirting, like, you don't see big Black women being sexy on TV that much. We're usually the butt of the joke. Like, you see a big Black girl on TV, and she's your Monique. Nikki Parker. I'm saying Monique. She's not the girl that everyone's vying for. So to see this like flirty Black girl, and she's like curvy and everything, I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm happy that we had that representation in the film. But I do feel like, hey, like, that was a little bit. Well, there are other Black women representation. There are other representation that we could have also used. I don't have anything wrong with using a trans actor. I just wish that I saw more just plus size Black women in general. I think that it was great that this trans actor got representation, but I would love to see just more Black women in general in films that aren't perfect.
And she was, in your defense, like she was used as comedic relief. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like it was genuinely funny. I guess you could say, and they weren't. But she wasn't being made as a spectacle as a trans woman though.
That's true.
It was funny as far as just a woman trying to like coming on to people.
That's true.
It wasn't like, oh, she's trans, so I'm gonna be mad.
That's true.
So I'm glad that they did it like that, where we said earlier it's not gimmicky, you know. Yeah. She played a woman. But I do understand what you're saying too.
Right. And you know what? That is so valid because they didn't put her on here like, oh, she's a trans woman and like look at her get hit on by men and you know get rejected by men. Like look at this. You know, they definitely didn't do that. They did not make a spectacle out of her. She literally was just a flirtatious woman. Period. Period. So she may be trans in real life, but in this movie she's just a woman. So yeah. The fact that I know that she's trans is just because I ask questions.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
We want to ask the question. We want to get down to this.
We were just curious. Ooh, let's get out the lava.
No, but I think it's important, like you said, like because again, it's showing we have to always be conscious of how we're viewing everything that's portrayed, especially how Black people are portrayed in media. Because again, we're not saying it's a negative portrayal. We're saying like how do people perceive it? And we're trying to think of how is it perceived. Especially and how do I relate to that character? So I mean, you talking about bigger Black women is not. I feel like you if anybody's able to talk about that subject, it should be somebody who
someone who doesn't see her reflection on TV.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, I mean, you see the perfect girls. You see like the Sanaa Lathans and the Nia Longs and the Halle Carey's and the Regina Kings. You see like all of them with their abs and they're perfect, and the Gabby Unions and the Zoe Saldana's. You see the perfect representation. But when you see, I can't think of her real name, but Kelly from Insecure, or you know, you see Nikki Parker, or you see even Nikki Parker's daughter. I can't think of her name. Candace Vaughn, right? If it's a woman that's not skinny, then she's funny, and she has to be funny, and that's not fair because we can be flirty too. And so you're right. I can make that.
And y'all pull.
Yeah, no, we know what's going on, and they do too. They know what's going on.
Let's make it clear.
Nobody's confused. Okay? Very pretty women. I'm just saying that, you know, we didn't have any anyways, doesn't matter. We had tons of representation for every marginalized group and some of the other ones. And it was great. It was great. This film had some unexpected turns though.
Absolutely. Like me watching the trailer, I was not getting any of these vibes.
It just felt like a really nice love story. It felt like, oh, they're gonna fall in love. They might have a little mischief, but I mean, we got heavy.
We got people really dying up in here, y'all.
Yeah, and then some that only fake die. So if you haven't seen it, I hope you've seen it already by now, because I'm about to spoil something for you. Think about this, and think about the way that this person who wrote this story thought about this. Okay. He gave her this speech before their first kiss about how he was nothing. He never was going to be nothing. He was just a thief. That's it. Sexy Jeremy Harris comes in, shoots him. He falls into the trash, and we have a scene of him laid out in the trash. So it was him living up to the truth of what he just spoke over his own self. He's nothing. He's never going to be nothing. Like essentially trash, right? Thrown out trash. Literally. They gave us the visual image of him as trash. Then they gave us a rebirth of him in the trash coming up, resurrected. Come on. They did some carry through, so we had a little bit of hope for him because he knew he was trash, but she believed more. And then he, had the situation. He almost dies. He comes back, and there's more purpose to him. There's more purpose to them. I think that scene happening and him being in the trash and coming out the trash, I think it was all to give us the positive reinforcement that he lives, they live, they got out.
No, exactly, because literally throughout the entire movie, he's not a deadbeat, even though he's like a low life in society.
Mm-hmm.
He cares for our girl Jody.
He said,
Like,
let me buy you a piece of
everything,
pie.
everything he's doing, like he's giving her to be able to be in the studio, putting up all the money, managing her, and he's footing the bill. Like he's like, I'm taking care of this. It's funny because she's the one that actually suggests for them to do the big heist because she wants him to just be one and done because he's willing to do it all for her. And I like that because I feel like in this society these days,
they don't be wanting to do.
Nobody want to do nothing for nobody though, and it's giving like a lot of fraudulent relationships, like a lot of fake care. But I felt like it was showing like they both had each other's back, which was so nice to see. In a love story.
He was also very much so about what had to be done. Like he said, I'm a hustler. Like you put $1 in front of me, I'm gonna make the effort to get it. So like it was crazy to see. So she gives him the sign, hey, someone's here. And it was crazy to see how quickly like he turned into that nigga who can kill somebody for what he was standing on. Like again, back to what you said in the beginning, they were like normal, but they leaned into their dark side. Like he wasn't going to like it wasn't going to be him or me. He was like, oh no, bet. So like that's what I mean by that. I mean like they're just very much so dark, but I hope they made it.
I feel like in the again, I won't spoil everything, but in the end, I feel like they do make it.
They have to.
Like it's not up for debate.
They have to. It was such a love story. Yeah. Oh.
But I feel like again, like when we talk about it, like I feel like a lot of the shots that we were talking about earlier, like as far as like the shots being close up with just them in the frame and like really showing like intense looking at each other, intently with intention. I feel like that was just like so important. Even like the scene when like he was in the bathroom after things had went down and she was there with him like leaning on the tub. I feel like the way they captured it, it was like it kind of makes your heart melt. Like they really love each other.
You said something great. Okay, you said so many great things right there, but they've learned cameramen. They've learned how to capture intimacy with the camera now. So they don't need both people in the shot to make an intimate moment happen. So when she was singing for him in the streets and they were wishing around her and her hair was blowing in the breeze and he is so far from her. She's in the middle of the alley and he's on the wall on the corner. So he's some space from her and he looks far from her. They shot everything to make it look like he saw her so big and grandiose and like they made the camera do romantic things. But yeah, they captured a whole lot of little intimate moments. The bathtub scene, yes, that's them being vulnerable. That's them being together. I thought that was beautifully shot. Yeah, and a man did it. Oh my god, a man did it. Oh my god, yay, a man did it. But it was good.
But I also want to talk about because as much as we talk about the love in the movie, we had to talk about the violence because
there was a lot of violence. But wait, there's more.
Well, no, finish. I don't want to.
It was the scene. So when he's joking around and he's trying to figure out how he's going to rob the store, and they're showing you these images of them like straight on, and they're like in the center, and they're like joking with each other. So this happens a lot throughout the movie, and it's this point of view shot. So instead of us watching them in their story, the audience is giving us like the cameraman is giving us the opportunity to experience it as that person. So the moments where he's looking at her head on and she's talking to him, we're him.
Yeah. And we're watching her talk.
And vice versa. So again, it's a different connection. And it's something that has been around forever as far as films are concerned. But you just don't see a lot of people take advantage of the point of view perspective. So it really, instead of the audience watching you guys, the audience is actually participating and it is a different feeling. That's all.
I mean... it's funny because like I'm glad that you can see these things because like as soon as you say them, they start to click. I'm like, oh my goodness, oh yeah, like it like brings like it just brings in deeper thoughts about
my pleasure
about what I was seeing.
That's what I do.
I really like it. no, but when we talk about violence in the movie, I feel like it's a lot of times it's hard, especially because like I feel like audiences now are so desensitized to a lot of violence or desensitized to like when you say like gore. It wasn't really gory, but there are moments that you see some things. I feel like when I saw it, I feel like it was done in a good way to where it was just enough to make me feel like get a little tense, but it wasn't overbearing. because there were some parts like when the first time Jodie got hit by a character, like he slapped her, and I kind of got like a little triggered, like or when she got beat later and stuff. So or just some of the shooting scenes, like they were like kind of like ruthless killings. I feel like it was done in a way to like get you like kind of get that anxiety, but it wasn't too much. I wasn't like super exhausted, but I definitely feel like it was like it did give me like that rile. Like it felt like, ooh, this is. I feel bad for some people,
I respect them for what they did. So when I was a kid, I saw this movie called The Bad Seed, and this movie had to be from like the 1930s or something. I mean, this movie was black and white, little white people, all that shit, right? And this little girl was like killing people and destroying things. She was like the worst. She was literally like a demon, right? And every time that she would kill somebody, they would only hint at it. They would never show you. A lot of old movies don't show you the murder. They don't show you the violent scene. They just kind of hint at it and they leave you to imagine whatever that looks like. And I'm really happy that this movie, Cinnamon, did that same exact thing for us. Because when they had to shoot, they shot them and they didn't show us. They just showed us her face. And of course, obviously, for the first person they shot, they couldn't show us. So, like, but for the most part, though, they weren't too gory, and I really respect that. I really appreciate that. But one thing about the type of violence that they were using is what I think is important. Did you know I was going to do this? Did you know?
But I'm ready. I want it.
Excellent. So they brought back the traditional go pull a switch off the tree.
Oh yeah.
I'm about to whoop you.
That was so
slavery.
Sad. Yeah, that was so sad.
Slavery. They were a whooping? Yeah. Ma'am, are you kidding me?
That was
what?
That was good. But even then, they didn't show like when she hit her, you didn't see it hit her, but you heard her scream. So it's kind of like you leave it. For me, I always think those are work. In my opinion, I actually don't like that because it freaks me. It makes me really scared. Like I'm like, what happened? But
you gotta make things like even in this genre. I know it's not horror. I know it's action, but since it's black based action, it needs to be things. Punishment needs to be something that would be scary to us.
And that's funny because I was like, when she was getting beat, I was like.
Right.
Like you get tense.
Right. Because historically speaking, like we understand what get a switch means.
Yeah.
And a whooping is terrifying.
Yes.
So
like it's funny because during the movie I told JB, I was like, I'm getting triggered a little bit. Like I got a little triggered when but the thing was, I feel like it was like that with the initially, like I said, it got you riled up, but it didn't like overdo it. So I was able to like sit through and watch like, okay, but yes.
Yeah.
Switches are no bueno.
I think that they took a creative look at what black torture would be to make it more believable for us. Because I mean, if in any of those torture scenes she was getting like waterboarded or electrocuted, it wouldn't have felt the same as the switch.
Yeah.
It is
black,
dehumanizing. Southern, it's southern. It's like old. It's degrading. It's like saying you're a child. You know what I mean? Like it really is it's a really big disrespectful type of like,
but effective for the audience that they were.
Yes effective.
Well, that's
exactly
deep.
It was psychological. They chose to whoop her because that would be more psychological, taking away all of her power and control. Then she was curled up on the floor like.
But even before, she was like how we always do before we got a whooping. No, please, like
the begging. Like come on, there was some sick shit in there. There was some sick shit.
No, but I think overall the film did a really really good job depicting a love story that actually isn't toxic but is violent.
Yeah,
which is crazy because I feel like there was no toxicity.
Well, they weren't toxic with each other, but were they toxic to society?
That's what I'm saying. But like the violence of society, but not to each other, which is such a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it's such a great dynamic. So great to see that. I'm happy to see that their relationship was just fine.
No, that's
all the
that's
promises
the part I love.
He made to her, he kept.
He kept 100%.
So as far as I'm concerned,
to his essentially dying breath.
Okay, but he did not die though. But I mean, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
So I guess you have to find out.
Eddie. It was good.
It
Okay,
was.
so yeah, that's what I got. I got that it was great. I got that it was a low key Bonnie and Clyde type
Yeah,
vibe,
absolutely.
but even better because I think they might actually make it.
Yes.
You know, it gives us the hope at the end. They were one of those unsure endings where they don't tell you everything, but it gives us the hope.
Mhm.
And boy, there are some twists, y'all. I know we said a lot, but that's not even half of it. Y'all gotta go
Yeah,
see this movie
you
on
have to.
Tubi for free, y'all.
And it's not even that many commercials. It was like 3 times.
Like three, like maybe five.
It was not 5. Well, it was 3. They were like 30 seconds. It
Okay,
wasn't that bad.
but go check it out.
Definitely.
Do you have any other comments for this movie?
I just want to say, job well done, and go see
Yeah, from the comfort of your sofa
it
on Tubi because it's
for
free.
free. Absolutely.
Just go support Black people, y'all. Come on, Hailey Kilgore
Yes.
and Jeremy Harris
Pam
and
Grier, Marlon Wayans. Not Marlon. Oops. I'm so sorry. Damien Wayans. I don't know why I
oh
said Marlon. It's Damien.
oh, you just made me think about the fact that he is in this movie, and I hate what they did to him, y'all. I hate what they did to him, y'all, and I hate the fact that he signs up to be this character in these movies. So make sure you watch the movie so you can see what I hate. I don't want to get into it, but let's just say that they typecast him and he signs up for it. And how it's like if someone were to hire me to be Shanae.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want that to be who I am and everything. I don't want that to be what I'm out here giving to other people. But Mark, dang, whichever one he is a sucker for it. He's a sucker for it every time.
But he played the character well.
Thank you guys for watching the Black Cinema Experience podcast.
I'll try to match you in unison, but
Yeah, I don't want to mention unison.